everybody, and welcome back to Cuddles R Us. So I hope you're doing great out there in the dunes. But today I did want to bring you just a very small update that Dune Awakening just went through. And this one is going to make hauling and managing your loot way easier. Plus there are a few key fixes that'll smooth things out for anyone who's running bugs lately. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So today's patch that just dropped, 1.2.11.0, is not a giant patch by any means. It honestly does feel a little light, but there was one main highlight that I really want everyone to focus on. So the big one was the fact that there is the new vehicle to bank deposit feature. So that means that you're now going to be able to deposit those items directly into the bank from your vehicle storage when you arrive at the social hub. So there's no more unloading everything by hand or running back and forth between menus. For those of you who use the bank frequently, this is definitely a welcome change. I can definitely see if you are trying to take some time off or step away from Dune for a little bit. This will make things a little bit easier for you, especially with that expanded inventory that we got in the last patch, in order to do that. And that's it for the highlights, but there are a handful of fixes that are worth mentioning. So a server crash has been fixed, so hopefully that means fewer unexpected disconnects from here on out. But a big one that I noticed was that there was an issue where loot containers weren't resetting properly. They say that's been sorted out and looting should feel consistent again. Now where they don't specify is that if it was in the deep desert or not. I know myself and my guild personally were having issues with those loot containers this past week not resetting properly, so fingers crossed that is what they fixed, but we will have to wait and see. Also, players who earn the Observer round window through Twitch drops were having issues accessing it. You should be all good now. That bug's been fixed and your reward should show up as it should. And for anyone who's stuck in Chapter 2 of the main story because their Poison Snooper vanished, this one is also for you. Once you re-enter any of the rooms tied to the quest, you'll automatically get your Poison Snooper back, which will let you pick up where you left off. So yeah, a smaller patch overall, but a nice mix of quality of life improvements and bug fixes that'll make the experience smoother for everyone. If you found this helpful, please hit like, share, and hit the bell for notifications to join our community. And let me know in the comments what changes you're hoping to see next. One thing I would like to know from you guys is, have you been enjoying the randomized loot table that has been offered in the deep desert lately? I know I've personally enjoyed exploring those drop ships and not really knowing exactly what was in them, but let me know what you think. But thanks for watching, guys. Stay cool out there, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!
In the shadow of the spice winds, where silence rules the sand, you came with blade and fire, a stranger to this land. Eyes like burning embers, voice sharp as a cry. But I saw behind the fury the question in your eye. They called you they called you cursed, a ghost beneath the dune. But every soul that walks this dust still hungers for the moon. Now I see you not as foe, but as the storm that learned to flow. Wounded heart behind the mask, reaching out at last. If we bleed as one beneath the same relentless sun. We were never meant to fight alone. Find your place where you belong. Whispers in the wind said you'd never bow, that hatred was your language now. But I watched you share the desert's loot and fight in silence, seeking truth. You spoke of dreams the sand devours, of names the wind erased. But I would walk through burning hours to see your spirit traced. Now I see you not as foe, but as the storm that learned to flow. Wounded heart behind the mask, reaching out at last. If we bleed as one beneath the same relentless sun. We were never meant to fight alone. Find your place where you belong. You told me of the world before, the weight you had to bear. How trust was just a poison mask and no one ever cared. But here within this shifting dune, a seed begins to grow. And even fear can learn to bloom when kindness is no enemy in the soul that dares to change. No shame in walking new paths through the pain. Even the world must rise from below. Even the desert lets the wild things grow. Now we stand no more divided. The sand forgets the wind confides. Let the old names stir to dust in this fragile trust. If we bleed as one beneath the same relentless sun. We were always meant to right our own. Find your place where you belong. Not foe, not flame, not shade, not stone. The desert takes, but it also sows. And what was broken now grows strong. You found the place where you